This is Calvin Watkins of the Dallas Morning News, and I'm joined by two of my favorite pass rushers that I covered, Greg Ellis and DeMarcus Ware. The only reason why I mentioned Ellis's name first is because I knew him first. So
that's right.
But today we're here to talk about some football, some things that's going on in their lives, and what's going on around the world. I want to thank Greg and DeMarcus for joining us. You guys good?
Good. Thank you, man. I'm glad you invited us on. I hadn't talked to Greg in a while, and I mean, the first thing I think about, just with Greg is, when I first came in, he took me under his wing. I mean, he really did, man. He was like my big brother. Even to this day, right now, it is the same thing. G Money. That's what we call it. G Money. It wasn't Greg Ellis. It was G Money. So, and it still is G Money. So I just. It's good to catch up a little bit and just talk some football and life too as well.
Yeah. Well, same thing here, man. DeMarcus came in, younger than me, of course, but to see him grow, to see DeMarcus grow from that rookie year, and he was a good rookie football player as well. Probably, I don't know if did you make rookie of the year, DeMarcus?
I was in. It was me and Sean Merriman. I think Sean Merriman.
Okay, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. And so arguably could have been rookie. It should have been rookie of the year. But certainly he grew, man, and being able to display his talents for the Cowboys and eventually across the league, all the way to he went up to Denver and got the Super Bowl and left me here with no Super Bowl ring. He went up there and got him a Super Bowl ring. So
you went to Oakland. Remember that? You went to Oakland.
Yeah, I went to Oakland. We didn't get no rings in Oakland, baby.
Hey, you got some sacks though. You got some sacks.
Yeah, we got some sacks.
Hey, how much do you guys still follow the game? Because you guys got a lot going on away from football. You got your family, but do you still watch it on Sundays, or is that like, man, I'm done with it?
Go ahead. The thing is with me, when I first retired, I really didn't watch the game because I couldn't enjoy it, right? Because I was, breaking down the plays like, I was preparing for the game. Greg knows exactly what I'm talking about. I wasn't enjoying it because I knew the players. I was still so close to the players. So it took me a while to get used to getting back into the game and becoming a fan. I became – and so I got some popcorn. I got the hot wings. I had the whole shebang, and almost like a tailgate at the house, right? But I saw my son enjoying that game, and it made me it brought out that fatherness in me, and I didn't really think about the football anymore. I thought about the connection I can have with him and teaching him the game because that's what he wanted to do, right? That's anything I can do to really communicate with my kids, to get them going or whatever, that's what really got me into watching football again. But now I enjoy it. I watch it. I see the players, the young guys coming in. And so when it's on television, I turn it on and I watch it.
Yeah.
You great? Because
same thing here. I enjoy watching it. I can watch it on TV. I'm not interested in going out there to the game. I told myself when I was playing that we used to drive up and see stadiums and people would be tailgating. And I always said, I want to do that one day. But I hadn't got around to doing that. But I do watch it. And DeMarcus is right. It's hard to disconnect yourself from the game, from studying it when you're watching it. So I'm still guilty of that. But my life is not tailored around football. Because I do other things that require my time. And then when I'm not doing those things, of course, I'm with my family. And so I just don't tailor it around to football. Now, obviously, I always try to be in a position to watch the Dallas Cowboys play because I still support them. But I don't tailor my day around, okay, I got to be here for this football game. Now, when I was interning with Mike Ducey at Fox, of course, I would then. But far as, just for enjoyment purposes and reason, I'll get somebody to record it at my house if I'm not there. But that's about the extent of it.
Now, I know DeMarcus dabbles in advising some pass rushers. I don't know if you do as much, Greg, but when you retired, did you guys think about, you know what, maybe I want to be a D-line coach? Because, Big Cat, Leon Lett, he's a D-line coach. Rod Marinelli, he's been doing it for a long time. But did you guys think about, okay, I'm about to take a pay cut here to be a coach and spend more hours at the facility? Did you think about being a coach in some aspects when you retired?
I never thought about being a coach because I knew exactly what it entails. And
right.
I mean, you waking up at 6 and you going to bed at 8 or 9 o'clock at night, and that entails a lot. And I know Greg probably says the same thing. I've been through that already. Now, when it came to the point to where if you want me to mentor the guys, teach them the championship mentality, where you can go in and on your time, to where, let's say if it was twice a week or something like that, to talk to some of the guys in a way to where the coaches couldn't, that's what's usually the missing part. The coaches are going to coach. So, to be a defensive lineman coach or defensive coordinator, that was a big feat for me. And I'm like, no, I can't handle that. What about you, Greg?
I'm the same way, D. I love, and I know DeMarcus too, we love football, man, and we gave a great part of our lives to football. But the time that it takes to coach, now I've been offered to coach, and I really want to do it. But the problem is, I tell my wife, I'm guilty of being a workaholic. Very guilty of being a workaholic. So if I would go out and coach, man, that's the occupation that encourage you to be a workaholic. And when you already know you have those tendencies to be a workaholic, it would really be detrimental to my family and even to myself. So I just so far notice I said so far, I'm still not ruling it totally out. But I enjoy doing the stuff I do now. But I do love football. I love, like DeMarcus, sometimes I get around guys, they call me up and ask me some stuff, and I share with them what I can share with them. So I still love it. But to cross over and go and coach, man, it's a serious commitment. And you got to be ready to do it.
I think Greg Ellis was the first player I covered that took the business of the game so seriously. It's like he had these playing incentives. Like, you know how you get a certain bonus for how many snaps you played?
Yep.
Trust the count from the Cowboys. He was counting them himself. I remember, at Valley Ranch, it was an old facility, so you had that little room off the locker room. I think it was a D-line office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Season was over. And I happened to walk by there, and Greg is on the computer counting how many snaps he played, just so his numbers lined up with what the team had. And that was the first time I saw this is a business, like a player. I mean, you're playing because you love the game. We know that. And also, you want to make sure you're compensated fairly, the right way. And I'm going to ask DeMarcus, when did you realize, I don't know if it was quick, because I think you were 23 when you first got in the league, that you said this is a business, even though you love the game, you know what I'm saying? Like Greg does. When did you realize, oh, yeah, this is a business too?
I think I realized it was a business. It was my first training camp. And it was probably about 3 or 4 days before my birthday. And I started just looking at how many years Greg played. I think Greg was in let's say he was in about 9 at the time or something like that. And then, I started looking up, Larry Allen, I looking up Flozell Adams. And I'm like, so you guys, and we went through 3 or 4 days of training camp. I said, you guys go through this y'all did this for 9 or 10 years. you guys put the pads on twice a day for Greg, remember it, right?
Yeah.
Remember I told you that? I asked you that. And Greg was like, yeah, man, Ware, I tell you what, you just gotta run. Dude, that's what Greg, he said, just keep running. That's exactly what he said. I said, but Greg, but my body can't go anymore. He said, let me tell you something, Ware. When you get that check, man, you gotta this is your job. This is what you have to do. We are all men here. And this is your job. This is not a game anymore. Yeah, you study to get paid. You perform to get paid now. It's not like college anymore. And so he said, every snap that you miss not being in training camp, not being on the field, that's money out of your pocket. And when he started telling me that, I was like, man, this is ruthless. I was like, this is real. I said, I don't know if I can play this. I mean, I played for 12 years. Looking back on it, my first year, I don't think I could have made it 12 years with that type of mentality of Greg wanting to change it on me right there and say, hey, it's time to work. It's time to go make that money. Like, I don't care what you say. That's what time it is. It's time to feed your family.
Yeah.
That's crazy. You know, it's funny. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Greg.
Well, that's how it works. Is the older guys, you know, if they're trying to help their team win and help the younger guys out, somebody kind of takes you under your wings. And I had a lot of great, terrific Hall of Fame caliber guys who took me under their wings. I mean, Emmett, Chad Hennings, Darren Woods, Leon Kett, you know, those guys and several other guys took me under their wings and explained what I would explain to DeMarcus, to Spears, and to the rest of them, because I had somebody who took the time to explain it to me, is that you still love the game, and we all play because we love the game, but you do have to understand that now this is how you are living. You're not on a scholarship at college anymore. This is a job, you know what I mean? And so you have to conduct yourself as you are working a job, and not that you're just playing football anymore.
And one thing that stuck to me about the job title, okay, Greg told me, he said, your hands are going to get dirty.
Yeah.
And he said, you see these hands right here? He showed them to me. I mean, they were bent up. I mean, looking real bad. Look, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I said, Greg, do you wear gloves? He said, no, I don't wear gloves. I just take my hands up. I bust my knuckles when I get out there. And I was like, what? Like it was like, because I wore the gloves, I had the sleeves on, I had the pads on, I had every piece of equipment. But Greg was like, listen, brother, you want to be light. You don't want to have all the equipment on. It's time to work. And I was just, it took me a while, but I gravitated to that real fast.
Hey, Cal, let me throw this in there, man.
Yes, sir.
You know that DeMarcus is a perennial Pro Bowler, right? And I've been an alternate for several years, but the one time I actually got to go to the Pro Bowl. So DeMarcus, that year we had like 13 guys, which probably still the record for the team who sent the most guys to the Pro Bowl. But so I'm out there, right? And I go as an outside linebacker, right? First of all, you know, they're running a 4-3 scheme, and I'm a 3-4 linebacker. And I'm like, man, how are we gonna do this? But anyway, that's the only time I ever wore gloves, right? Because I'm trying to be, you know, this pretty stand-up linebacker. We playing at the second level. And I'm like, okay, I got to blend in with all these linebackers, do the linebacker stuff. And so Peyton Manning, he was a quarterback for the other team. Man, I dropped back in coverage. Peyton threw a ball right freaking to me, dude. Went straight through my hands, right? And that year, the defensive MVP, I think, got some type of escalade from the Pro Bowl. He was the MVP.
Really?
Yeah,
it was something like that, right? And I'm sitting there like, dude, he threw the ball right to me. And Peyton came up and told me, he said, Greg, I didn't even see you standing there, man. But because I had the gloves trying to look pretty like DeMarcus and the rest of them, I didn't even catch the interception. And who's going to chase you down in the Pro Bowl? So it's going to be like an 80-yard touchdown run. And when the ball coming my way, I'm like, oh, boy, I'm going to catch this ball. Ain't nobody really going to chase me. I'm going to be the MVP. I'm going to get that Escalade. But trying to look pretty like them, drop the ball, man. So the story that never got told was my interception on Peyton Manning that became a pass. That became a pass breakup instead of an interception.
I want to ask you about what's happening right now. It looks like the season might be delayed because of what's going on, and the NBA is going to put guys in a bubble. They're reporting to camp soon. Baseball is close to getting their thing done. In a way, you guys are in a bubble at times in football, but you go home at night. So do you could be in a bubble for 6 months or until we get a vaccine for the coronavirus. In football, I don't know if that's hard. I'm assuming it's hard, especially in football players.
Yeah, I look at it as with this COVID-19, I mean, first of all, you think about your temperature, right? Getting a fever.
Mm-hmm.
You think about how many germs there are in football. Because football is not played indoors. Football is played outside, even though if you're in the dome or not. It doesn't matter if you're on the turf. You're still outside. Big stadiums.
Yeah.
All that sweat, the blood, just it's too much bodily fluids flying around to not take it lightly, right? And it's like, how are we going to protect ourselves when people are catching it and they're not even touching each other right now? And when we start putting the pads on, you're like, how are we going to protect the players, not just from a face mask? The face mask is one thing, but imagine, you're tossing guys around and, you're playing out there on the field. That stuff is going to get on your skin. Yeah, you can take a shower, but then you got to take that stuff home. I mean, when you take a shower, does it go away in that 30 minutes that you're taking a shower? I don't know. Or does this thing last for 14, 15 days once you get it on your body? So, I mean, there's a lot of precautions that need to be taken, not just from a basketball or, baseball, but football is a little bit different for me because it's a lot more action, a lot more bodily fluids and stuff, and a lot more contact in the sport that could change the way they approach the situation.
Yeah.
Now, Greg, you were always strong with the union.
Go ahead.
I don't know if you were a player rep or alternate. But what can you do? I mean, how can you protect yourselves? I mean, because they talked about masks, but some people can't even walk to the grocery store with a mask on. I can imagine taking on a left tackle or right tackle.
That ain't gonna work.
With a mask on.
You're definitely not gonna be able to be out there with no mask. No, because you're gonna need to be able to breathe, brother.
Exactly.
Yeah, that ain't gonna get it done, man. That's not gonna get it done. I mean, a receiver can wear a mask, but when you're a D-line, I mean, DeMarcus will tell you it's a 2-minute situation, and you on the field trying to get to this quarterback, and you feel like you can't take another step. The last thing you want to be trying to worry about is breathing through a mask. So that's going to be difficult to do. Now you'll have some guys that will wear masks if they have the season this year, but for the most part, that's not going to be the solution. And to what DeMarcus is saying is that it's not just the mask that you're going to be needing. It's that you're touching people. You know what I mean? Right. You're in close proximity. You are exchanging sweat with people and things like that. So it's a very contact game, obviously, but even more so than that, my question is, because you can have a better chance of figuring out how to get around COVID-19 with the players, right? It's hard. It's going to be difficult, but if they figure that out, because that's an environment that you can control to some degree, meaning you can check everybody's temperature, right? You can do whatever test they have, and each team can be tested every week. They have the money to do that. So you can control that environment. But the environment that you cannot control, which is huge, is the fans. And so that's where the question lies is, okay, if we create a bubble, as you say, around all the players in the entire league, make sure, boom, they don't got it, anybody get it, man, you cannot play, bro. You can't even come to the facility until we clear you out. They can control those things. Right. But the money gets generated when people come to the stadiums. There's not a lot of businesses that's going to generate millions of dollars on site, not counting TV money, that's going to generate millions of dollars on site in less than like 3 or 4 hours, right? Football games do that. At every campus, every stadium that they're played, they generate that kind of money right there on site. So if you have 10,000 people versus 60 or 70 or 80,000 people coming to a game, that's where the problem comes in at.
Right.
Because you add it up, 375 times 100,000. That's how much money is made at the stadium. And I'm not talking about selling Cokes or beer or popcorn or $16 nice beverage. That's not even in that part yet.
Yeah. So to get your math, DeMarcus, That's $37,500,000. So you see what I'm saying? That's what DeMarcus said. Like he said, that's counting $375 for the ticket to get in there. And that ain't counting park, no concessions or nothing. So that's the part that is keeping my good friend Jerry Jones up at night. To like, okay, we got to keep that happening. This has got to happen, and not just but the other owners as well. Obviously, in the league itself, you know what I mean. I'm just kind of messing with Jerry, but everybody, including myself, you know, football is a major contributor to our economy, man. You know.
One thing I've noticed in the last couple of months is that the players, NFL players, are finding their voice more than ever before. When Colin Kaepernick took a knee, there was so much resistance to that. And now you're hearing players saying, we don't care what the fans have to say, what the owners say. We're going to peacefully protest for causes that are near and dear to our hearts. And we're talking about police brutality against black and brown. We're talking about poor people. Have you ever remember seeing players, especially in the NFL, in your sport, be vocal as they've been about just – not talking about football stuff, but just what's going on in the world. At least publicly.
Go ahead,
you guys talk about it in
the locker room,
privately, and those kinds of things. You know, I mean, because you guys are human, you know. But
correct.
I can't ever recall players just saying, especially quarterbacks. Like Kyler Murray the other day said, I'm going to take a knee. And I don't care who doesn't like it. I can't ever recall, like, Donovan McNabb I don't even think he would ever say that years ago when he was playing. Nothing.
The thing is, though, you gotta look at it now, and the leagues, the people that are in these leagues are a lot more vocal. They're a lot more are identifying themselves as their identity. Like, it's not like, I don't want to be like you. I don't want to be like everybody else. I want to be like me. And now there's a lot of people that are gravitating to one identity. And what I mean by that is a lot of people are feeling the same way about something. And when somebody that some players that are very, very passionate, a lot of people too that are out there just not athletes that are very passionate about something that identifies them and that they gravitate to, they get very, very vocal to that. And that's one thing that I really enjoy seeing is the players being very, very vocal. And now you see those numbers really multiply to a point to where that voice is very, very cohesive. And it's very straight up. Like, this is what we mean. We didn't say this or that. This is how we feel about this situation, and it needs to stop, like, right now. And all the players are white, black, Hispanic, soccer, basketball, football. It don't matter what sport. Everybody is gravitating to that because everybody feels the same way. And that's what's creating a voice that you can't, get deaf ears to.
Yeah, I agree with DeMarcus said. If you compare the action in the what usually is called controversial interaction with players, with society, it's pretty congruent, meaning that society, not just players, not just athletes, are being more volatile and speaking up, but society at large is being more volatile and speaking up and taking action. And, I tell people, and, because I do plays that center around this topic, right? Man, I've done so many interviews because of the play and what we're dealing with in our country today. That is just, I just got out doing an interview before I got on this Zoom session. People are bringing me in to talk to their companies just across the board, because I think people are fed up with it. And when you look at Rodney King, you guys, DeMarcus, you probably was, babe. Do you remember Rodney King, DeMarcus?
I do.
Do you remember? How old were you, DeMarcus? How old were you in 1991, D?
Say what?
How old were you in 1991?
In 1991, maybe, 16, something like that?
16? 15? Okay. Yeah. Right around there.
He's in Alabama. He's in Alabama.
Alabama. Now,
right.
Come on now. Don't age me too much now. Come on now.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, you look at Rodney King, right? And if you pay close attention, Rodney King, that was an injustice that took place. You know, he got beat real bad, but the police didn't go to jail. Who beat him? And so what happens? LA riots take place, right? And so you have rioting that take place. And that was some tough stuff for a short period of time that went on. But now you fast forward that to 2020, where we're at right now. And so that's another eruption that comes out of another black man being mistreated and unfortunately murdered on national TV by the police. But now the difference is between Rodney King rioting and the rioting of 2020, it's just not black people out there doing it, right? It's just not brown people out there doing it. You have all sorts of ethnic groups of people that are out there, and not just across this country, but across the world, that are taking action and realizing that, okay, enough is enough. Something needs to be done. So we have a petition. I didn't start this petition, but I've been working with this group for about 3 years. And it's a petition to push Juneteenth. Juneteenth is a day that we mostly identify as Freedom Day from slavery in this country. And that petition, man, probably less than like 20 days, has gathered 1 million signatures on it, right? And so we're still pushing for that one. But it shows, and people are ready to take action. They want to do something. And I'm so glad to see other ethnic groups, not just black people, that are coming around to say, you know what, this is jacked up. This man killed him on national TV. And then when the police officer get punished, they don't even push for maximum charges on this police officer. And then when the rioting start, they increase his charges from 3rd degree to 2nd degree. But the fact that they start with 3rd degree sends out that bad message that black lives aren't as important as other people's lives. But I'm glad to see the country as a whole to start to unify, and other people who aren't black say, you know what, I'm not black, but a wrong is a wrong, and we need to make it right. And so people are taking action. So players line up with that, I personally think, because just like I just explained all of that about the general population, if you would, the same thing with athletes. I think athletes are fed up with it as well. And now with being fed up with it, it's kind of like you can let stuff go and you sweep it under the rug, but then all of a sudden when the pipe busts, you even go back and start revisiting some of the other stuff. And I knew the Colin Kaepernick thing was obviously going to come up, and there's some other stuff that's going to come up as well. But a change is coming, and I'm glad to see the NFL. They even helped with the last play we did. They posted the stuff out there. The Dallas Cowboys, same thing. They posted this stuff out there, encouraging people, hey, come see this play. It's streaming, so get your tickets to see it. So I'm glad to see that change come about, but a couple of years ago, that would not have been happening.
There's been some criticism on a guy who you guys just know very well, and Jerry Jones, for not speaking out. I've always believed it's your right. Some people are not comfortable speaking out on a lot of issues. We're talking to Todd Boyd. He's a professor at USC. Todd Boyd said, I'd rather you not speak out if you don't have anything to add to the conversation. Just don't speak out as you're speaking out. Just be quiet, vote. That's one way you can speak out, voting, and those kinds of things. But people have been critical on Jerry for not saying Black Lives Matter, like other owners have had to do in the NBA. Mark Cuban, Steve Bouchard in Baltimore with the Ravens, other owners have done that. Should Jerry speak out on this issue? Or is it's your right as a citizen to speak out, but it's also your right as a citizen to say, you know what, I don't need to speak out on this. I'm going to vote and be done with it. So is it fair? Should he speak out? Because people will say, guys like you have influence because you you have a high platform. Even though you guys are retired, your name still resonates. And so you have a platform, so people are expecting you to say something. Should that be the same, Jerry?
I think, from my standpoint, if you have a platform, you should be able to say something in your own right in the way you want to say it. Sometimes a voice or what you say can be very, very powerful because it's who you are. Or an action of what you're used to doing can speak even stronger than what you have to say. So I think that no matter what, if you have a platform, you use that platform in the right way. And if you don't have anything to say that's going to be right for who you are as a person, don't say anything at all, because it's only going to taint who you are, and it's going to be fake. Like we aren't. No one wants to be fake here, right? We want to be straight, authentic on who you are, what it is, and be done with that. So that's like my opinion on the whole situation.
Right. Mr. Ellis.
Yeah. So why you laughing, man?
Because I know both of you, so I know. You know, get sorry.
No.
And DeMarcus knows you too, so yeah.
No. I'm not going to say what y'all think I'm going to say. No, I'm just going to simply say this. I agree with DeMarcus. No, I think, and I'm going to agree with DeMarcus. He's right in the fact that, it's a personal preference of what you say. But what I would say this right here is that the same way Jerry and everybody has the right to express their constitutional right in a peaceful protest. And so in freedom of speech, that freedom of speech also includes the freedom of not to speak as well, right? So that's his constitutional right if he chooses not to address the issue. And we can't criticize him for doing that. So I get it. But I get the fact that people are frustrated because you do have such a large platform and people want to hear what you have to say on the subject, because you were pretty vocal about the knee situation with Colin Kaepernick and your players taking a knee or not taking a knee. So that reason, when you put yourself out there, then people are going to want to hear what you have to say. But Jerry, he's been in the game a long time, and so he can handle that kind of pressure, if you would. But what we do have to realize, when the shoe is on the other foot, the NFL needed to respect I wasn't in the league when this took place, but they needed to respect the guy's personal opinion and their constitutional right to peacefully protest and express themselves by taking a knee if they wanted to take a knee, right? That needed to happen. That didn't happen. So it still doesn't change my views. If a person doesn't want to talk, then that person has the right not to talk. But now we know as players, we don't get the luxury of not talking. Calvin, when y'all want to talk to us, we do have to comply at a certain time to vocalize our opinion, or we get fined, right? So the world, whoever's seeing this Zoom deal, that's how it works. You can go but so long without talking to the press, but when they want you, you're going to get that little letter and say, look, you're going to have to talk to them today or we're going to find you, right? So we got to keep in mind, it's good for the side needs to be good for the other side. But I'm good with Jerry. And like I said, I was glad it says something on a small level that he allowed his Dallas Cowboys to post about the Juneteenth play, about helping Juneteenth to be a national holiday. So he had to be aware of that at least. I didn't talk to him personally about it, but it's still his team. And so that's him saying, okay, I'm not set against these things. Maybe he and Rich, his PR guy, haven't put together what he needs to say. I don't know. But I do know he, as the captain of the Cowboy ship, allowed something that has something to do with Juneteenth and the end of slavery to go out in the airways by way of the Dallas Cowboys.
Before we end this, I just want to add, in Valley Ranch, you could hide from members of the media. You know how the entrance where you guys come in? I guess meeting room right there. So if I'm looking for number 94, you would stake out over there because he's watching or whatever, And so you would have to wait him out, and then he'd look like this, and you go, "Oh, hey, I was looking for you." He goes, "Oh, I was in there." I go, "Really?" Because we only had 45 minutes. So there were times that we had to find Mr. Ware just to get thoughts on things, but he was always very good when he spoke. So I just wanted to add that.
Listen, man, I told y'all exactly where I was going to be. That don't mean I'm going to come out. That doesn't mean I'm going to come out to chat. I said, I'm going to give you about 1 day. Remember, I said, I'm going to give you 1 day. I'm going to talk about whatever you want to talk about. I come out happy, too, because I'm like, I got Wednesday. That's when I'm talking. I'm not talking anymore. On Thursday and Friday, I am not talking. I'm preparing for the game.
I will say you and Greg are the same after games, especially when you lose, because you guys, it's hard to talk to y'all. Because I don't like going in. Look, I'm 5'8". You guys 6'5" plus. So I got to come in there talking to y'all about what just transpired, regardless if it was your fault or not.
That's right.
You guys were very hard to talk to because you were angry. You were ready to get on that bus, especially if it was a road game. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, man.
Dude, oh, my gosh. You were just in a bad.
And it's cold. If it's cold, wet, oh, boy. Cold, wet, and losing.
You're going to have a problem.
Does not go together.
I'm going to be a mute. It's cold and it's hot. It's hot, too. If it's real hot, don't talk to me. That's how it works.
Exactly.
I look at you, it's like, hey, DeMarcus, what do you think about the game, Mama?
Like, this is what I think about the game. You see this face? This is what I think.
This is what I think, all right?
Oh, my gosh. One of the great things, too, about talking to you guys, you explain the game. Like, if I said, you got doubled, and DeMarcus would say, I would get chipped, then the guard would come down, and he hit me, then I got the tackle. Really? Then I would watch the film and go, that dude is right. 3 people touching him. Greg, same thing. I get doubled by the guard of the tackle. Someone slide, whatever it is, or I get chipped, whatever it is. You guys are always good at just explaining the game, because a lot of people, when they watch the game on TV, they don't see those little things that happen. The defensive line. Mm-hmm. They just don't, because we're all watching the ball.
That's right.
That's what we do when we watch the game on TV. Even in the press box, sometimes we watch the ball. So you have to purposely find DeMarcus Ware and say, you know what, 3 people did touch him on that 3rd and 14. So that's why.
Or it gets to a point to where, which I know that you've actually had my back so many times, where you're like, well, DeMarcus was nowhere in the 3rd quarter, and they scored 21 points. Mm-hmm. And you would actually ask me after the game if we won or we lost the game. I said, well, in the 3rd quarter, there was a tackle that came out on me. I said they actually brought the tight end, the chip, and there was a running back too. I said when I got past him, there was a guard from the other side volleying over. I said it was 4 people over there. And you was like, I don't believe that. And I said, you go back and watch the tape. If you go back and watch the tape, then you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. You go back guess what, that Wednesday, you're like, DeMarcus, every 3rd down, they had that same play. You was getting there, but you had 4 people on you. Like, no matter what, you weren't going nowhere.
Yeah. And the quarterback gets rid of the ball, like, that's the other thing, too. Sometimes they get rid of that ball fast. Sometimes one of your brothers in the secondary ain't doing what they're supposed to do. Ain't your fault, but that's just how it is. It's a team game.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
You guys are retired, but not really retired, because you guys are busy with so many things. Before we go, tell everybody what you guys are doing now. Like, I know, Greg, you're like our Spike Lee, John Singleton,
Go ahead, D. I like what D got.
Tell us what we're doing here.
Yeah, for me, as soon as I got I retired, I got back into computer science major, so I got back into building software. So I ended up building some fitness tech, and I'm going to launch it sometime probably right before the season. Okay. And then I got to a point to where right when I retired, I went into my garage and I started doing methodology, meaning like for fitness, right? Because I thought that if I can touch people, not just from the fans in the stadium, but from people outside of the stadium through fitness, I can still motivate them, right? I know people, they want to look good, they want to feel good, so I still can have my locker room, but my locker room was now the weight room, right? And so that's why now I'm opening up a gym on July the 20th. So it's whole lifestyle brand, because one is called 3 Volt Fitness. That's the gym. And then the other one's at Driven to Win. So it's Driven to Win, and that's going to be the software that goes with and married with everything else. And it has, clothing brand, all that. I've been working on it for the last 3 years. And finally, about to launch all of them at the same time.
That's awesome. Good. Yeah, that's awesome.
And what about you, G Money?
Yeah, that's good. That's much. He forgot to tell y'all. He forgot to tell you that he's going to allow me to come down to the gym and work out for free. That's the most.
It's going to be free. It's going to be free for sure. I'm going to make sure that you in the house. I promise you that. You stay right down the street.
Yeah, exactly. As for me, when football was winding down for me, I got involved in the what I would call the fine arts, photography and video. And then as it completely finished up for me, I just started doing more of it. And my motivation is really to help people. And I think one of the best, well, not the only way, but certainly one of the best ways you can help people is if I can entertain you with a right message. And the message, part of it will have you laughing, part of it will have you crying. It'll make you mad, it'll make you upset, it'll make you happy. I want to touch on all your emotions, but the main thing is to make sure the message leaves you with something that's going to trigger you to be more enlightened about life, right? And so the latest play that we're doing is the Juneteenth play that we were talking about earlier.
Right.
There are plenty of answers because people are looking for answers right now, and people want to know, almost like this new word that came into existence, almost like systemic racism. And people want to know, well, where did it come from? How did we end up in the situation that we're in as a country? And so through a play that goes all the way back to slavery times, it's not to bring up old wounds, but it's more for me is taking the approach, well, we can find out a lot about today's issues if we simply take a look back at the origins of those issues, if you would. And so slavery was more than just about the master hitting people with whips. That was bad enough, but it was the psychological and the systems that got established during the slavery years that still resonates in today's society. And those things are what I would call the origins of those social systemic issues, racial issues that we are dealing with in today's society. And really in the world, the whole world are dealing with those things and feeling the effects of those things. So that's the kind of stuff that I do. We've had this play booked for a couple of shows this June, but because of COVID-19 and social distancing, we have to cancel those shows, which open up another door, and that is us doing streaming. And I'm glad we did, because it opened up so many opportunities for people to see it. We did a Zoom call with Joe Biden people, campaign people, when they found out that I was doing a play like this. USA Today called me to do an interview, and I was freaking shocked. It's like, you guys are USA Today, and they said, but we're writing an article, a story on Juneteenth, and your name came up. And I'm like, my name came up, really? And so they said, yeah, and we heard you have a play, and we want to talk to you about it, man. And so I was thinking they're going to interview me, but they surely not going to put it in the paper. But they did, and so it's a very popular topic. And my goal and challenge is to get as many people to see it, because if they really want some answers, it will be revealed to them throughout the play. There are several Caucasian people that have seen it and have called me or messaged me. One of my neighbors, to be honest with you, he looked at it and he texted me back. He was like, Greg, what can I do? What can I do to help the situation, if you would? So it's an excellent call to action piece. And it answers a lot of questions that people have today about where these origins from these things come from.
Well, I appreciate you two guys. You guys are always the best. Just good people, both of you guys. Forget football, you guys are good people, and I always appreciate you in good or bad times, whether you didn't like what I wrote or not, but you guys were always good guys, good men, and I am very appreciative of this Zoom chat. And one thing that's interesting is, and we're going to talk about this on another time, about playing for somebody else, not playing for Jerry, but that's another story for another day. But
okay.
I appreciate that, since you both went to the AFC West, But anyway,
yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. But DeMarcus, I appreciate you. Greg, appreciate you guys.
Thank you so much.
Over the summer, and hopefully I'll see you guys down the line. And that's all the time from the Dallas Morning News Zoom chat with Greg Ellis. DeMarcus Ware. I'm Calvin Watkins.
You take care.